Hi guys. Welcome to Chapter 3, Business Idea Generation and Initial Evaluation. We're going to talk about um, essentially coming up with ideas for a business and seeing if it's something that's going to work for you. So let's just get right to it. All right, so this is a suggested approach to developing a quality business idea. There are lots and lots of ideas out there. And my family laughs at me because I'm always coming up, well, I should do this for a business. I should do that for a business. We should invent this thing. We should invent that thing. And there's no shortage of ideas, but you've got to figure out what's the best idea that works in this environment, and also what's the best idea for works for you. So the first thing you want to think about is uh, figuring out what it is that what your own personal skill sets are. We talked a little bit about this in the last chapter, and figuring out, working with other people and seeing what would work with other folks that they could complement your skill set or your knowledge base, that kind of thing. Sorry about that. So listen, evaluate your own personal skill sets, and then look at look at what's going on in the market. Are there any unmet needs that are out there? And then compare your ability to fill those gaps with whatever opportunities are out there. So I don't know, something that's not being met effectively. For example, a home delivery system for groceries is something that was not being met for a while. And so now we have home delivery systems for groceries, that kind of thing. Okay, so the skills analysis is you want to take a look at what your skills are, and not in terms of, again, we talked about this before, there's different functional skills that are needed when you start a business: marketing, finance, accounting, customer service, research and development, that kind of thing. And so you want to be able to find out what skills are that work well together, and so you don't have this idea of teams have complementary skills. You can't have a baseball team with all catchers. You have to have different skills. You can't have a hockey team with just people who play center. So the idea is that you want to form a synergy, and synergy is this idea that the group, the sum of the parts, is greater than the individual, greater than individuals. So the synergy will connect skills and understanding, connect skills, understanding, and a competitive advantage that the sum of the parts, as I said, is greater than the individual parts by themselves. So that's the idea of synergy. So you want to make sure that whoever you're with, whoever your partners are, if you have partners with people you hire or whatever, you can create that synergy. Okay, and skills, they change from person to person, and there are different places where you can identify different skills. It might be a hobby you have that you turn into a business. It could be from your educational background, your own work experiences, your family history, that kind of thing. That's something that you need to figure out. But we'll talk about a little bit more as we go through. So hobbies and activities. So if you are a woodworker, that means you have facility with material, with your hands and different materials. So you want to think about those. And so what skills do you have? And then also, what do you enjoy doing in your free time? What do you read about? What do what if you are, read a magazine or a newspaper, what's the first section you go to? What kind of products do you use? What is it that you're interested in? So sometimes hobbies can lead to businesses. If, as I said, woodworking, metalsmithing, painting, that kind of thing. Okay, education, also a really important source of skills for a business, whether it be formal or informal. Maybe you have an education in plumbing or welding or electric or something like that, or accounting, that kind of thing, coding with computers. So you have to think about that. So what are your skills from your education, and do you still enjoy it? Would you still do it again? Because again, it's important that whatever you do, whatever business you run, you're happy in it. So again, work experience. Where have you been? Where have you worked? What critical skills did you have? Are you considered an expert in any one area? You really like have to. It's a lot of like starting a business. It's a lot of thinking and searching and that kind of thing. So, um, what is it that you enjoyed? What is it that you didn't enjoy? Because with the things you didn't enjoy, that maybe that would be a good thing to have your partner do or hire someone to do for you. Okay, so family. It's really important. Family plays a large role in our lives, probably larger than we want to give it credit for. Um, but family experience is really sometimes really overlooked. So, does your family have family history, any kind of business ventures? Do you what types of travel do you like to do? What kind of vacations did you take? Is there any like existing skill set already in your family? Financial resources that you might have? That kind of thing. What skills do you develop when you're participating in family activities? Maybe you're the one that always plans the parties. Maybe you planned a 300-person family reunion for all of your cousins on both sides of the family, 2 generations back. Then you have some organizational skills and some party planning skills, so you might want to think about that. And then other additional skills you might want to think about. What are your top 3 personal skills? You might not know the answer to that question. This might be something that you could, in addition to thinking about yourself, you could ask other people, your friends, your relatives, people you work with. What do you like? What things do you like to do? What do you enjoy? What have you been? Of all the things you've done in the past year, what did you enjoy the most? Again, the magazines and the books you read. What are your greatest accomplishments? Do you like being with people? Do you like being alone? Um, what industry do you want to be in? What is your favorite industry that you've been in, maybe, if you've had a career already? So, again, your goal really, again, this is something you can do on your own. Your goal is really to uh, look at, think and dig deep and figure out what is it that what's the range of potential skills and abilities that you have? Are you detail oriented? Do you have training? If you want to open up a retail store, do you have training in retail, or do you just think it seems like a fun thing to do? How flexible are you? Okay, then we think about different types of gap analysis. Gap, as you know, is something that exists in the middle, and what you want to do. There's a sort of so the idea of the gap analysis, it's sort of a simple process of going through and examining differences, systematically doing it in an orderly fashion, the difference between what's expected and what occurs. What is it that people are looking for? What is it that people are looking for, and what occurs? What are opportunities in the marketplace? So maybe it's uh, again, like I said, meal delivery service. Maybe it's enhanced parking. Maybe it's um, there's all sorts of different things. Maybe it's some kind of app that would let people, you can clue in and find out, specific times for it's tell you all of the different traffic for running errands, that kind of thing. So you want to take a look. So what are the opportunities that are available? Okay, so ways to identify gaps. We can look at trends. So you want to see like what's not only just what's happening in your area, but also what's happening in your region, regionally, nationally, that haven't necessarily reached your geographic area yet. You want to talk to your family members. Or you want to actually, the other thing too, you want to talk to, interview successful local entrepreneurs to see if they have any tips for you. Talk to your family members, because the family members are going to know you better than anyone, generally speaking, and your disposition and your abilities and that kind of stuff. Definitely brainstorm with other entrepreneurs, other people who might be your potential customers, with your family. Brainstorming, you come up with all sorts of ideas. There's none that are bad, and you just go through and come up with some. And then, so what is it that frustrates you on a daily basis? What is it that you think that might be an opportunity that you find it, whatever you might find annoying on a daily basis, but try to only pick one thing. And then you can look at patent files if you go to the U.S. Patent Office. Okay. So this idea is, you could always kind of be open to ideas and what's going on, and the ideas of current trends in other areas is an important one to think about. So initial analysis. So sometimes you might have to start over and over again. We're going to go in a little bit more in depth about this, but you want to be able to focus on one idea at a time. That's really kind of important. So you can think about them clearly. They might seep in, but anyway, you want to think about it systematically. You can't just jump into stuff because jump into things because it's a big time investment and money investment. So we're gonna think about coming up with a few different ideas. They did a case study in the book about the gentleman who had some money and he wanted to open up a business and he wasn't sure which one to open up, and they talk about that he went through and did this analysis. So here we go. This is a guy who was thinking about opening a business. He ended up, I'm sure you read it, but the printing shop. He's want to do the printing shop, the flower shop, or a fast food restaurant. So we went through and he thought about, what's the category, different categories: finance, time, non-financial, what's the risk, who are your competitors, are there 16 other flower shops in the same neighborhood? Then probably not a good idea. So you go through, what resources do I have, what resources do I need, and then what's the difference? So you want to look at different categories: finances, time, finance, obviously money, time, non-financial resources, which would be like know-how and that kind of thing. Risk, how risky is it, and who are your competitors? So how much is required? And you might, it's going to take a little bit of legwork to figure out what the budget's going to be. So it's going to take a little bit of time. And then how much do you have? So you have to come up with a budget. We're going to talk about budgeting later on in the class. So anyway, the other thing too, time's the next category. Every business takes different time periods. And so how much time do you have? How much lead time do you need? 6 months, can you hit the ground running? That kind of thing. How much can you dedicate to working on it? How much can you wait until it's ready to launch completely? Okay, so non-financial resources, special contacts. Where's the actual business going to be? Do you have a place to open it up? Do you need special equipment? Knowledge, that kind of thing. Okay, then we think about risk. All businesses have some level of risk. So you want to think about what's the personal risk and what is that besides financial. Are you giving up an opportunity to do something else? Are you taking time away from another project? Are you at a point in your career where you can do it? And then a business risk. How much money you're going to need to make? How quickly does it need to grow? That kind of thing. Okay, so what are some threats? Threats to profit margin. So again, we've talked about profit margin before. You need to be able to make enough money to pay yourself, and pay your employees, and pay your bills. So that's important. Sales generation. You have to come up with a opportunity to sell to a lot of customers and obtain repeat business. And the ability to develop a sales scheme that is broad enough to appeal to a wide variety of customers is really, really super critical and important, and to the development of any business. And what about your competitors? Can they meet that same pace that you are? And then operational financing. Can you get money to open your business? Can you get money to help you grow? Are you going to make enough of a profit in the first year that you can invest it back in the business and operate the firm? Then looking at competitors. Who are your competitors? And how strong is that competitor, basically? There might be, even though you might not have someone who's a direct competitor, you might have someone who's doing something similar to it. So, for example, Uber was its own thing, right? And the competitor they didn't really necessarily have any competitors, but who was doing something similar to them, but taxi cabs, so that would be their competition. So you want to think about that, and how can you offer better service than those people? Okay, and then finally look at this deficit analysis that we looked at. So we looked at before, what are resources, the resources required, and then is it a high deficit, a low deficit, or a medium deficit? So you have to go, the entrepreneurs, from the case study ended up going with the printing shop because of the fact that it was some of it was a lifestyle issue. You didn't want to have to spend too much time with customer service, and also it was easy to get started, and the overhead was less expensive, wasn't as much competition, that kind of thing. Okay, so here we are, chapter review. Systematic way to generate a list of potential businesses. What are the marketplace for opportunities? And it's important to do a gap analysis. And then looking at analyzing things and looking at potential risks and threats. So, okay, that's it with chapter 3, and we will see you back here with chapter 4 when we talk about an external analysis. Okay, thanks, guys.